Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight we have a special guest with us. We have drummer Trey Williams of Dying Fetus. Welcome to the show, Trey.
Thanks for having me.
So, Trey, before we get into the entire interview, let's just learn really quick a little bit about you. Like, how old were you when you started playing drums? And was drums the first instrument that you learned?
No, it wasn't the first instrument I learned. The first instrument I learned was annoying my parents. And, no, but in all honesty, I learned how to play the cello first in elementary school, and then the trombone, and then promptly forgot how to play them. And then some years later, I was like, man, drums just look so cool. I want to play them. I'm like, Mom, Dad, I want a drum set. And they're like, why don't you pick something quieter? I'm like, well, okay, I'll play the bass. I'm already in the bass clef anyway with the trombone and the cello. So I played bass for some years, and then my junior year of high school, 16, 17 years old, the drummer in my high school band went away to college, and I sort of stole his drum set from his house. Well, he told me I could borrow it, but his parents didn't know that. And, yeah, so I've jammed out on that ever since until they took it away from me, and I've been playing drums for like 20 years now.
So are you like all self-taught? I mean, did you ever take any lessons or any of that stuff?
I'm primarily self-taught. I have taken some lessons, but I wasn't in the right mindset to really like focus hard on being a real drummer. Mm-hmm. I don't actually consider myself a real drummer. I consider myself a wind-up toy. I drink a Coca-Cola, and then I go and bang some cymbals together like a monkey, like one of them wind-up monkeys.
Well, it's working.
Don't ask me to sit in on your jazz session or ask me to play a Latin gig, because I can't do
it. Well, that's good to know. And once you started getting interested in metal music then, which must have really made your parents happy, who were some of your influences then as far as drumming? Like, I want to drum like he drums.
Raymond Herrera from Fear Factory. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, check that out. And Pantera. And that was kind of like the start of it. And then, you find other stuff like Morbid Angel and Deicide. But I would say, if I'm gonna say who some of my biggest influences are, I would say Dave Liddy. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Talley, who's in Fetus, was definitely an influence on me. And Doug Bond from when he was in Suffocation,
sure.
The playing he did on Pierced from Within. So that's kind of like my drumming coming up. I did take some lessons as an adult after I thought I knew how to play. And I've learned actually the most being on tour and talking to other drummers. So, yeah, that's kind of how my drum education and my drum evolution is.
And what were you doing prior to being in Dying Fetus, Trey?
I was doing what I'm doing actually right now, and that's working. Mm-hmm. I played in local death metal bands in Maryland and worked my day job installing audiovisual systems, mm-hmm. and I'm doing it in between talking to you.
Were you a fan of Dying Fetus before you got the gig?
Oh, for sure. I'm from Maryland. Dying Fetus is from Maryland. Mm-hmm. I used to go see Dying Fetus at a venue that was like 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes away from my house. And there's a place called Phantasmagoria in Wheaton, mm-hmm. Maryland, which is actually where the first Maryland Death Fest happened. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't put on by the same guys that do it now. But, I used to go down to there, watch Fetus play all the time, and got really heavily into them. And then I got a chance to be in my favorite band, one of my favorite bands, and they're also my local band. So it's kind of like, if you grew up and then you got to play for your hometown sports team. Pretty cool.
It is kind of cool, and so you probably knew most of their songs even before you got the gig then.
Definitely familiar, but I've never been a person that likes playing covers, so honestly, I did actually have to learn them. But it wasn't that hard of a learning process because they were already ingrained in my head.
Right. So today we're talking about your new album, Wrong One to Fuck With. Your last album was in 2012. So what have you all been doing for the past 5 years, Trey?
Touring, playing shows. You know, Reign Supreme was very well received. And it allowed us to tour pretty extensively all over the world. And we maximized our ability to do that. And then it just became a point where it was like, yo, you've got to get in there. Once we hit like 3 years touring, it was like, okay, we got to start doing something. And more good tour offers started coming. We just kept touring. And we really had to just say, hey, okay, no more tours unless it's like 6 super crazy. We have to put an album together. And here we are.
And you put the album together and it's done. And so tell us a little bit about the writing process. Now, are you guys like all pretty local to each other? I mean, do any of you live like far away?
Our bass player Sean lives 2 hours away from our rehearsal space. John lives an hour and 40 minutes away. I live 45 minutes to an hour away from our rehearsal space where we do the majority of our writing. So it's not too bad. Sean definitely has the brunt of the drive, and driving 2 hours each way, so it's half your day.
Yeah,
fucked up with driving. But the writing process for this one was a little different, not too different. The big difference was we did all the pre-production ourselves. Primarily, I did. I sat behind the computer and pushed record and cut and pasted all the arrangements together and created tempo maps and tried different beats and stuff like that. So a lot of that was on me. So I think the biggest difference is like I was really involved with this one. Not to say that I wasn't involved and I didn't have an input in Descended into Depravity or Reign Supreme, but this one it was like I was the first filter it went through. So that, I would say, is the most crucial difference, that it was completely done in-house and that I had my hands all up in it.
And we know, before you guys even started writing, do you like all get together and be like, look, do you have like a certain vision you want to go with? Or how do you even begin that whole entire process, Trey?
Well, every song kind of came together a little differently, but they really start out as just like 1 or 2 parts. Like getting started is the hardest part. Just getting like that first third of your first song is the toughest part, because for me, I had to learn the software, and then also you don't know where that song's going to go. Our first song that we wrote for this album absolutely became something completely different by the end. So when we do our writing, John and Sean will come in with a guitar part, or maybe a series of parts that work together. And we'll put it in the machine, try a couple different ways. Does it sound good with this beat? Does it sound good transitioning into this part? We will try stuff out and see what fits, and see what works. Some parts were me just creating a drum beat, and John just freestyling over it with guitar, and we'll go and say, well, that measures 4 through 8 were cool that you did, so let's just keep those. Now learn it. And then he's like, well, I don't know what I did. And I was like, I don't know what you did either, but it sounded cool. So, that's kind of how the album came together. We just all got together as best we could and just threw it all into the machine and shook it up.
Out it came.
That's how it came.
Now, with this album, too, did you guys go with any, specific lyrical themes throughout the album? I mean, what are some of the subject matters that you deal with throughout this album?
We definitely want to have a song about how we love tacos. And, Dying Fetus, we have a very defined kind of lyrical image. It went from early Fetus when we were gore, and then it became the more politically charged thing, and then it became a little bit more, during the era that I'm in, it's a little bit more ambiguous and just highlights just the awful situations that we're surrounded by every day.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as, like, coming up with the content for the songs, a lot of the songs started out as just album titles. Not album titles, song titles.
Mm-hmm.
So one of us would be like, I think we should have a song called Wrong One to Fuck With. Okay, well, let's write a song that just says Wrong One to Fuck With. And that's kind of how that came together. We kind of put a song title there, and we would just kind of shoehorn that content into a song that it fit into.
And are you all involved in the actual writing of the lyrics of the songs, or do you just leave it all on the singer?
Well, John and Sean both do the singing, but Sean wrote all the lyrics on this one. He bounces the ideas off of us. He'll get stumped sometimes. We're like, man, I just don't know how to, what am I going to sing about here? You know, for instance, the song "Die with Integrity." He was kind of like, well, how do you die with integrity? I just don't know a starting off point. Now, you know, it got me thinking, and I was like, well, how about a mob story? Like a mobland story, where, like, a hitman has been captured by the rival family, and they want him to switch sides. But he's so ingrained into the other family, his primary family, he's not going to do it. And they also have his wife and his kids. And he's like, well, if I'm going to go out, because I'm not breaking my oath, I'm going to die with integrity. I'm going to take all you out. So that's what I kind of gave Sean. I was like, yo, how about this for an image for you to write some lyrics to? So we all kind of help each other out. If we're stumped, if Sean's stumped for a word, he'll call us up and be like, hey, read these lyrics. What are these? Does this sound stupid? You know, have I used this word too many times in the album? You know, and then we'll give him the feedback.
You should probably write some movie lines there, Trey. With
yeah, that could be a movie. Well, wait until you see the video for Die with Integrity. It's going to be...
Oh, I could hardly wait now. I could just imagine after hearing just that little story.
Yeah, it's intense, man.
Well, we wouldn't expect anything less from you guys, Trey, so...
Perfect.
So where did you guys record this album at?
We recorded with Steve Wright at Right Way Studios again. We did Descend into Depravity with him, and we did our EP History Repeats and Reign Supreme. And we have a great working relationship with Steve. It feels like home when we're locked in that studio. So we keep coming back, and he does a great job for us, and we enjoy it.
And musically, how would you describe this album to people?
I would say that this is a distilled version of everything that Dying Fetus is. Where we really wanted to keep the listener engaged. We did not want to have parts that caused the listener to get lost. Where, you know, if this is a drummer, it's a sick drummer, where's one? We didn't want our audience to be questioning where one is. Where's the beginning of that riff again? So we really wanted to write something that was catchy, brutal, and listenable. The most catchy, brutal album we could come up with. We wanted melodies that would have you humming the songs at the end of the day. Because if you can hum a melody, it's ingrained itself into your brain like a boreworm. You know, it's in there. It's never going away. So that's really what we tried to do on this one.
And what could you tell us about the beautiful cover art and the artist, Trey?
Well, the cover art had several evolutions, and that's what ended up coming out. I don't recall the photographer's name off the top of my head who came up with the cover art, but we wanted something that was equally as intense as the title of the album. I've said this in a couple other interviews, we brought the old school logo back just because it fit the album cover. The old logo just didn't fit. It just didn't have the same kind of grotesque impact. Mm-hmm. So we doubled down on death metal, and we went with an offensive cover, we went with an offensive album title, and we brought back an unlegible logo.
Perfect.
There you go.
So, Trey, what kind of a kit are you currently playing on?
I'm a pearl artist.
Mm-hmm.
Play pearl drums. I'm in the market actually to get a new kit, but right now I'm using the same Vision Birch kit that I've had for a couple of years now. I'm a Sabian artist, so I play Sabian cymbals and Vic Firth sticks, and use roll and triggering gear. I'm not endorsed by them, but I really like their stuff. I'm an Axis endorser, so I use Axis pedals. Mm-hmm. And I just throw those sticks at the drums, and stuff happens.
Now, have you had any recent additions to the kit, or is there anything that you got your eye on? No real additions. I actually took one cymbal out of my setup for this album. I took the splash cymbal out, but generally it's pretty much the same gear I used on the last album. I think the only real difference is, as far as drums go, is I used an Omar Hakim signature snare instead of my Pearl Reference snare that I used on Reign Supreme. I just like the drum, so I kept using it. Well, it's kind of funny because when I talk to, not saying that you're old or anything, Trey, but when I talk to like older drummers, they're like, want to reduce their kit as much as they can. And when I talk to the younger ones, they're like adding all kinds of stuff on there.
I'm starting to think like those older guys. Starting to think that way. Like, I look at some of these jazz dudes and I'm like, man, you just brought a 4-piece in with 2 cymbals. That's freaking awesome, man. Love it. Look at me, I got this big old spaceship.
But it sounds really good. I mean, and it looks really good too. And hey, now I was looking over your, tours and stuff you have going on. Now I see that you were just added to the Summer Slaughter tour, right?
Yeah.
And what other tours do you guys got coming up?
We will be headlining in Europe in the fall. And we have plans to do headlining tour in the United States. I can't announce anything, but we're going to do it. We would love to get up to Canada. We'd love to get to Australia again and Southeast Asia, and it's a new album time, so we're going to be touring a lot. So just keep your eye on the Facebook page. We'll be announcing stuff.
And I noticed too, when I was looking at your pre-order bundles, a lot of them are sold out already. I mean, the album's going to be releasing soon, but the pre-orders are where you can get all the extra goodies and stuff like that. So, I mean, you guys have a pretty dedicated fan base for, over 25 years or so. And a lot of them I noticed too, they have tattoos all over them. I mean, what's it like for you as an artist to see your band tattooed on somebody's body that's going to be on them forever?
Of course we're flattered. You would want our offensive artwork and imagery on your body for the rest of your life. Thank you. We love it. It's so cool. I would never do it, but I'm so stoked that these people are so inspired by whatever that piece of art or that lyric was, that they want it on their body. That's freaking cool.
It's cool. Amazing, the dedication and I guess it's the love. I mean, you gotta love something a lot to have that done. So that's gotta be a pretty good feeling that you're feeling the love there, Trey.
Hey, keep it coming. I like it.
All right, well, a lot of fans will be seeing you guys out on tour. You can learn more about the band on their Facebook page as well as through Relapse Records, and you can also pick up a copy of their new album, Wrong One to Fuck With. And Trey, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us here tonight, and best of luck with the new album, and stay safe out there on the road.
Thank you so much for your time, and you have a good day.